Hi, everybody, and welcome to For the Purpose Of. This is Ron Houtman's favorite words to add at the end of everything. This is a education technology podcast from the very nice people at Kent Intermediate School District and our EdTech team. I'm Ron Houtman, one of the EdTech consultants from Kent ISD. We also have with us
Keith Tramper, also an EdTech consultant at Kent ISD.
And Sarah Wood, another EdTech consultant at Kent ISD.
How did we get three of us? Anyway, we're going to start out really quickly. We have this thing that we like to do for virtual or face-to-face meetings, and they are called sometimes Icebreakers. They have a better word, though. I forget what the word is.
Inclusion activity?
Inclusion activity. Yes, one of those. So I've got a thing on my screen right now called WordWall, and the web address is wordwall.net. It's a really nice resource for those of you that do any professional learning or you're helping your teachers out. It creates really quick questions that you can ask, and there's a bunch of pre-built ones to classrooms of kids. And a lot of times it's great to do that icebreaker or inclusion activity. So I'm going to spin the wheel, and you won't hear this, but I'm going to spin a wheel, and we'll see what my question of the day is that Keith, Sarah, and myself are going to answer. So Keith, you're up first. You ready?
Oh man, I'm ready for Ron's Wheel of Awkwardness.
Okay. What phone app do you use the most?
Ooh. Maybe not the most, but I think the one that I'm using right now is TikTok. For whatever reason, it just brings a lot of joy into my day just to watch people be entirely goofy. In a time when we need some smiles, it's a good spot to go.
Okay. Sarah, same question.
Keith took my answer. It's I don't want to say consuming my free time, but the ability to zone out with TikTok is where it's at. Other than that, I would have to say either Instagram or the camera app. Good old camera app.
Yes, I am so far off the socials right now because I know what that TikTok algorithm will do to you. It'll, make you sit there and watch stuff, and all of a sudden 2 hours is gone and you're trying to figure out what happened. So I'm going to tell you what my most used app right now. I completely threw out all of my smart home stuff, my home automation, and I've been rebuilding it from scratch. So my current application I'm using the most right now is a thing called Habitat, and Habitat kind of like a habitat. So I have to rebuild my whole entire smart home. So that's what I've been consumed with, trying to get all of my automations to work. The one that's the most scary right now is I've got a Google Home upstairs. When I open the garage door, it will do a text-to-speech thing that says, "Hi, your garage door is now open." And it's really creepy. And I got to figure out how to change the volume because it's really loud and it freaks out the cat.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm always so impressed with the projects you take on, Ron.
Well, trying to automate your life, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now you just need to get that video camera set up so we can see the cat's reaction.
Yeah, she wouldn't like that. You know how cats do. They're always walking around the house. We call her the cat scanner because she has to make sure everything's, staying in the house. All right, so we're going to turn over to Keith real quick to talk about a couple things here about the podcast.
Perfect. Yeah. So this podcast is kind of our experiment, our foray into podcasting. We have seen this need right now for many of us to kind of have some passive learning in EdTech. So that's what we're trying to aim at here. We send out our EdTech Connect on a monthly basis, and we'll probably hit on a bunch of the topics that are in there. But we want to keep it mostly short and sweet, so it's something you can listen to on your drive home or whenever you have some time to just digest. So each time we get together, we'll talk about a big topic, and we'll tell you about that in just a moment here. But we'll get into some updates of the big things that are happening with EdTech, and we'll even kind of update you on some of the events that are happening around the state. On that note, we are going to jump into our first For the Purpose Of big topic.
All right, moving into our big topic. We are going to do a little discussion about CS Ed Week. And recently, I had attended a conference and I heard the phrase of CS is for everyone. And sometimes you'll hear CS is for all. And I am a firm believer of that. And if you are someone who is a teacher where you're like, no, computer science isn't my thing, language arts is my jam, there are a ton of different ways you can work computer science topics into even your language arts classroom. You can even do it with your kindergarten students or even your seniors. So CS is for everyone. So as I was thinking about CS Ed Week, and I like to try and do things that are kind of fun that would engage students or engage teachers. I put together what might look like a Bitmoji classroom or a virtual relaxation room, but I structured it so that it is a virtual room that students can explore for CS Ed Week, where I have spent way too many hours going through looking for cool, engaging, relevant, informative websites and activities that students can do. And I've placed them all in this room in one space so they can kind of stay in that same room. But also then took it one step further and made a scavenger hunt that is based off activities and websites in the room. So they're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. They're doing it with purpose and reflecting on the activities and things that they found in there. So that's one thing that I created that I'm doing for CS Ed Week as far as sharing with teachers and students.
Well, that's super cool, Sarah. I love like your creativity with all of that and being able to just kind of click around and see what I'm going to dive into, what I'm going to stumble into that Sarah found.
I have a whole shelf there that was just for Ron. All the like microbit kinds of things. That was my Ron shelf there.
I need microbits. They taste really good with milk too, or is that's something different?
With the side of Adafruit.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Raspberry Pi.
How come they're all named after things? Now I'm hungry. Okay.
Nice. Yeah, just to build on what you've got there, Sarah. I know one of the traditional ways that a lot of teachers engage with CS Ed Week is through the Hour of Code, which is fantastic, right? Getting your students involved and committing to spending some time getting into what coding actually looks like. And getting your students to kind of play around because it can be gamified. In fact, if you go to hourofcode.org, they've got all kinds of different things that you can use with your students at all different grade levels and all different experience levels. So definitely something to go check out. But it doesn't stop there, right? If you go to csedweek.org, there's much more than just the Hour of Code. There's tapping into your CS leaders that kind of inspire your work, and connecting with people in your community around computer science, or being an advocate for getting something started in your school or district around CS and bringing programs to your students so that, as Sarah said, you can get CS for all students. So definitely go check out csedweek.org. And if you're brand new to it, Hour of Code is a great place to start.
All right. So I think next thing we'll just talk about, since I'm up next, is as you are exploring the interwebs where all the good things happen, just a couple things to know about. One of them that we shared in our EdTech Connect newsletter is a thing called Chromebook Simulator. Chromebook Simulator is kind of cool because you, as a teacher, sometimes you might have a Windows machine or a Mac, and you're trying to help your students figure out what they're doing, generally on their Chromebooks. That Chromebook Simulator, you can just Google that and you'll find it really quick, allows you to emulate what your students might be doing on their Chromebook. So if you're trying to remotely help them troubleshoot, or you're just standing over them while you're both trying to look at this keyboard with strange I don't know what those keys are at the top level. Sometimes they look really weird, like little boxes and circles and things like that. It's like Squid Game, but on the keyboard. You can help your students figure out those things really quick and easy. And you can also give kids links directly to things. For example, you want to do a screenshot, you can share them the Chromebook Simulator link, and it'll show them how to do that as well. So it's a nice site just for you to do some remote troubleshooting with folks. So look up Chromebook Simulator, just a Google search. It'll find that really good website for you.
All right, I'm going to focus mostly on CS content integration guides, partly because these things kind of came across our plate maybe a few weeks back, and they're developed by CSTA and the folks at MDE. This is for a teacher who maybe is teaching math or science or ELA and wants to integrate some computer science into that class. You'd be surprised in the different ways that computer science can kind of fit into the content that you're already teaching. And that's what these matrices do. They kind of help crosswalk some of your content area standards with the computer science standards that are out there and link you directly into an activity that you can do with your students tomorrow. So definitely something to go check out. Again, those are the computer science content integration guides.
All right. So one activity that I came across recently through actually one of the REMC professional learning courses, which I highly recommend, was the website The Secret Door. And it is exactly that. It is a digital secret door. And when you go to the website and you click on the door, you are transported into some undisclosed random place on Google Maps. And I just clicked on it now, and it brought me to a candy shop, which is somewhere in England, I'm guessing, based on things that are there. But it is a super cute candy shop, like old school, but yet it's also decorated for the holidays. And you can even see out the door to the street walkway there. But what I love about the secret door is that it is a great activity for inquiry itself. Like when you look at it, it's so hard to not ask yourself, like, oh man, I wonder what that is on the shelf, or I wonder if I click over here, where will it take me? So many questions just come up from this, and knowing that you are getting a different place every time you go, or even if you have a class on it, and everyone accessing it on their own, they will all get different locations. So it's just, I feel like a great activity that will definitely promote inquiry and questioning. And I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. I've been kind of clicking around as you've been talking, and right now I'm exploring an art gallery, but I was just in a cave somewhere.
I
And
was in
then
a
like
jungle earlier.
nice, nice. And then I was in like a Turkish bathhouse, or at least what I think a Turkish bathhouse might be. Don't worry, it was empty. There were no people in there. So,
Sarah, this one reminds me too of it used to be totally free, but I know it's kind of limited play now. But it's called Geoguessr. I don't know if you ever played Geoguessr,
oh
which is
yeah,
really great, especially if you're a teacher teaching any geography, social studies things where you're actually showing students, a location. You can probably emulate this in Google Earth pretty well too, as long as you just don't show them how you got to the place, and have kids guess about where they might be as well, just by looking at cues. You do have to plan a little bit ahead versus just clicking on the secret
The
door.
secret door. Yep. In the upper left, there is a thing where you can view it on Google Maps too. So if you get to a point, if you're doing it like what you said, Ron, that it can take you to the actual location. So I feel it's fun. It's easy to get students talking, I feel like.
all right. We are going to transition over to upcoming events. So, Sarah, I'm going to start out with you. You're hosting a couple things at Kent ISD, or virtually, anyways, through Kent ISD. Why don't you tell us about EdTech Cheer and Virtual Make and Take?
All right. EdTech Cheer is kicking off on December 1st and will run for 12 days. It's my own little spin on 12 days of the holidays. And will actually be open through December 17th, giving everyone a little extra time to wrap things up there. But what it is a micro professional learning course where content is delivered to you each day, and that content is focused on SEL as well as technology and how they can kind of work hand in hand to help you with students and identifying any needs, or even helping support any needs that you have as an educator. So I'm really excited about the content that we have to share there. A spoiler alert, day one is all about Enneagrams. And if that's new to you, I hope you get sucked in just the same way that I did. I am 100% Enneagram 9, and you will learn what that means if you take a look at day one. So go ahead, sign up for EdTech Cheer free. It will be for 3 sketch credits if you comment on each day. So quick, easy way to get some sketch credits. And the other thing that I'm running right now is Virtual Make and Takes, which is a series of monthly professional development. And each month, at the beginning of the month, I release a new topic where you get to not only learn how to create something, but then put that learning into practice by actually creating but also you're doing this alongside everyone else who's participating in this course, and they're doing that same learning and that same creating. So you get to create and take work that others have done. So when you get to actually walk away with a handful of things that you didn't create, but it's easy to implement, it's a win-win for everyone. And I would like to give one last shout out too for our Google Certified Educator Cohort 2 that just kicked off at the end of November. They are working towards getting their Google Certified Educator certification, and we are excited to welcome them to our course.
Awesome. And I'm going to shout out a couple of our networks. I suspect that many of you listening to this would be already involved in some of these networks, but sometimes we find that people don't realize we offer a handful of them. So the first one that we've been running for a number of years now is called Kets. That's the Kent Educational Technology Specialist Group. And that's essentially for leaders in EdTech in our local districts. We also have two other networks that we just launched this year. First is Kevin, which we won the Best Acronym Award for. That is the Kent Virtual Instruction Network, and that is a network of teachers from around our area that are involved in some sort of virtual instruction. So maybe they're part of teaching in a virtual school, or they do part of their teaching during the day with kids that are maybe working at home. So it's a good group of people, all focused on a pretty niche area of EdTech. And yeah, we kind of get together and talk about things and support each other along the way. So something to check out there too. And our last one is Kcsn, and that is the Kent Computer Science Network. That is for folks that are either computer science teachers or maybe technology or STEM teachers that sometimes touch on computer science, and also for our educators that are trying to integrate computer science into their core curriculum. So again, it's kind of a place to get together and talk about computer science and get a better awareness and understanding of how those things can fit in our classrooms. And it's a great group to be a part of.
So where would we find information about Kets and Kevin and Kcsn?
Yeah, if you just go over to kentisd.org and search for Kevin or Kets or Kcsn, you are sure to find that inside of our PD system.
Just a couple other things to talk about before we get close to wrapping up here is just general education technology support from Kent Intermediate School District. So if you're one of our friends that lives within the boundaries of Kent ISD or our REMC area, which is Kent, Ionia, and Montcalm County, you can always email us at edtech@kentisd.org, and we're always happy to provide advice and due diligence and helpfulness in a general manner to make sure that we're all doing the right thing for kids and that we're not spending money on strange things that we know that don't work. This is back to the for the purpose of part of our title of the podcast. That's one of those words that I like to throw at the end of things like, hey, we want to buy VR headsets for all the kids. And my question would be, for the purpose of, and then you get crickets. So that's where that came from. And you can apply that to almost everything in your life. Let's go to get some hamburgers. And for the purpose of, because I'm hungry, and if I don't eat, I'm going to die. All right. So
that's your activity to take away from this. Work in for the purpose of into conversation.
Always. We want to go on vacation for the purpose of, because I need a mental health day week or whatever. Last little thing is make sure to check out remc.org, remc.org. That is your Regional Education Media Centers Association of Michigan website, where there are tons of professional development, professional learning opportunities for you, to include a whole plethora, I love that word, of virtual learning classes. So if you're a certified educator, you know you need to get 150 state continuing contact hours every 5 years to renew your certificate. In the last few years have been any indication of not going to PD. You have to try to find it yourself because most school districts don't really have the capacity to offer a lot of that stuff and haven't for a while. So the REMC Association is here to help you with that too. So if you do have any needs for professional learning, tons of virtual courses you can take at any time. So, hey, to wrap things up, just one last little thing is if you ever need to get a hold of us, the best way to do that is to contact us via email. Our email address is edtech@kentisd.org. We're always happy to help anybody, anytime, anywhere within our service area. And if you enjoyed this podcast, is that what we're supposed to say? Smash the thing button?
Like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Subscribe. Check the show notes for the link to the EdTech Connect.
Oh yeah, the show notes. That's the best place to go find out everything that you need to know about the podcast, along with our folks that are our sponsors. We don't have any sponsors yet.
Sponsor us.
Yeah, one of these days. So thanks for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, just let us know. We'd be happy to listen to any feedback that you have.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep. Have an awesome day.
See you next time.
On
For the purpose of...